my fear was that if I left the general to advise on who's going to write the forward, we'd have forwards written only by generals. And so to balance that two, we brought in diplomacy, and Masdambaya agreed to do that. We couldn't get an economist, but we got a scholar, Professor Gatumaga. That is the source of this multiple faults. The second thing I'd like to explain is why the cover of this book looks like it does. Having read the general's memoirs in many drafts, including during COVID, I was inspired to design for his book a cover that would make him happy. But I didn't quite end up making the general happy. In fact, I made him so unhappy that he told me, well, keep your cover, Prof, but explain to people why my book has such a cover. You see, the general would have liked this picture, but I thought that given the title of this book, Promises to Keep and Miles to Go, that photograph of a 44-year-old general would not have reflected the things that this title reflects. This cover and the title was inspired by a poet, Robert Frost. He wrote a poem stopping by woods on a snowy evening. Frost was getting on in age when he wrote this wonderful poem. And he reflected the time of life that he was in. About 74, General Jogo, this has nothing to do with your age. He's around that age, and he was talking about an evening during the winter, and in his view, it was not the time to pack up life and go and retire. It was a time to remember that ever since he wore stars at 42 and 42, he still has more promises to keep, and he still got miles to go. That is why that cover and that picture were chosen. However, a few days ago, Professor Gatumaga, I asked him to help me explain to the general about this book. And he said, somebody said that generals don't die, they fade away, never to be forgotten. That was General MacArthur speaking at West Point, his last speech at West Point, and I believe his last speech anywhere in this world. And so, if generals just fade away, we had to reflect that fading away in the general's distinguished book, we have spent about 4 years or 4.5 years in the book. We had a nice time working on the book. The general writing it and me following what he has written and editing. It's been a pleasure. CDF, you have talked about a culture of writing. It seems so far that the culture of writing is only pursued by 3-star journalists. And we hope that it will be some buzzard to other places in the armed forces of Kenya. I thank you. I think
thank you, Prof, explaining how all those things came from. You said you had, instead of fading away, you took a strategic pause. So, next speaker will be Professor Wasanga, who will take us to the next level.
Thank you very much, CDF, all distinguished guests. For me, I may have to explain why I'm here because I do not teach here. And I think I'll thank the CDF and then I'll give my comments on the book, brief ones. Mine is just to thank the CDF because I was once here in 66 Artillery Battalion and I was in the group that went to AFSHEF to do A-levels, and when we passed, we were requested to leave and go to university because the army did not have structures to accommodate servicemen who were graduates. So I was admitted at the University of Nairobi, where I did my bachelor's, master's, and PhD, and I became a professor of literature. I teach writing and writing of autobiographies. I'm also a lawyer practicing as an advocate of the High Court of Kenya. So to be invited to come back here is just to thank you so much. Had I not been allowed to be in AFSHEF in 1989, maybe I would be a professor now. So now I'll then address the congregation as a professor of literature. And I feel so honored to be invited to speak at the launch of Lieutenant General retired Humphrey Njoroge's memoir, Promises to Keep and Miles to Go. Writing a memoir is not easy. It is an act of personal courage. In his book On the Sharpness of Life, one of the famous philosophers of the Roman Empire, Seneca, observed that no one willingly reverts to their past unless all their actions have passed their own censorship, which is never deceived. A man who must fear his own memory is the one who has been ambitious in his greed, arrogant in his contempt, uncontrolled in his victories, treacherous in his deceptions, rapacious in his plundering, and wasteful in his squandering. If you have those qualities, then you will fear talking about your life. I commend Lieutenant General retired Njoroge for having the courage to open up his life to former comrades and to the public. It is a blessing to serve faithfully and then live long enough to tell the story of your life yourself. Not so many achieve this grand homecoming. The memoir reminds us of events in our country's history and our military's heroism. It is factual, educative, informative, and entertaining. The memoir is an inspiring story of foresight, loyalty, courage, exemplary leadership, resilience, and honor demonstrated through the life of the 11th three-star Kenyan general. It is a valuable reference book for officers commanding troops and students of military science. It is also an easy read and full of humor and laughter. For example, when you read, you will find the one I found most exciting, where a platoon was ambushed during Ogaden War, and they had to get away very quickly in only one APC. And along the way, as they were escaping, they asked, where is the motor officer? And a voice from the floor of the APC responded, Niko hapa. And the soldiers had to say, we are sorry, Afande. We didn't know we were stepping on you. So there are many interesting places that make you laugh. The publication of this book is timely in our country. Social media is increasingly killing the culture of meaningful writing and reading. I encourage the military to promote a culture of reading books because it entrenches the introspection necessary for critical and strategic thinking. I also encourage generals and all of us to write their memoirs because posterity needs to learn from their achievements and also mistakes because they are human, most of which remain buried within the walls of the barracks. After reading the memoir of Lieutenant General retired Njoroge, you learn that the growth of the KDF and the growth of Kenya as a country are synchronous. It explains why Kenya remains an island of peace in a sea of turbulence. As a country, we can only look back at this rich history and say with pride in Kiswahili, tumetoka mbali na bado tunaenda mbali. In English, we have come from far and we still have a distance to cover. Finally, I congratulate Lieutenant General retired Njoroge for willingly subjecting his life to public audit through his memoir. In doing so, he has confirmed being accountable first to himself, his family, his country, humanity, and God. I invite you to read the book and discover for yourself who Lieutenant General retired Njoroge is, his life, family, service, and vision. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. I took your note that if you don't write, if you die, they will write for you. And they'll make a poor job of it because they are not covering the stories. Next will be Professor Katumanga. The correct pronunciation is Katumanga.
CDF, sir, general officers, current and past. I'm going to avoid using the word retired for the very reasons that my professor mentioned. And all the other officers, ladies and gentlemen, it's a great pleasure. I've been invited to say a few things from my understanding and the reading of General Njoroge's work. And so for starts, what is very impressive is that it's not always common that a time comes when you find an individual's lived life coinciding with the institutional development that grounded him. And that is the case with General Njoroge. And what is more interesting is that basic fact that if we take the aspect of both his professional development and true authority with respect to the career that he has essentially endured, that gives him that right to want to engage on matters appertaining to security and strategic issues with respect to his beloved country, Kenya. A number of issues have been raised. I picked out 4 questions. A number of them elaborated upon by General Kanga, and one of them was basically the question of the role of family, culture, and faith in the development of the moral fiber of both officers and, in fact, the institutions they serve. The second aspect of it was with respect to the whole question of recruitment, promotion, and management of the force, and how that can be mobilized, or what dynamics facilitate that mobilization in effect to generate a force that is able to mediate contradictions, especially within societies like ours that have differentiated identities. And the third, more fundamental,